I'm still gonna get you. I'm still gonna get you for that shirt. I played it off. Nigga, I played it off. Act like I was cool. I don't like that shirt shit, nigga.
As a resident of J Street, you violated Flip. I need to move out. Thank you. Bye.
Man, suck my fuck your mother,
What?
nigga. Man, like, why he keep playing with me though, Joe? Like, why he think he can play? I will beat shit down that
If
leg,
you give
son.
somebody
I have,
attention that they
Oh my
want, they
lord.
will.
I don't.
They're gonna answer.
I will have I will have Jr. Switching music that son. I don't give a.
Can't have
Leave me
JR do
alone.
that, Flip.
Thank you.
Why not? Jr. Why not?
Because
He know
you
where everything is at.
shouldn't.
He know Jr. Know where everything is at, and Jr. is a protector of mine. I'm a protector of his. Don't let that go over your head. Jr. is not gonna watch no. But me and Jr. Cause my family got mad, but me and Jr. put beats on somebody at KFC.
Oh my
We on
gosh.
that. See, I blame Imani for all this. I blame E. The shampoo is no longer. I'm not no longer dealing with shampoo because he sat with that. I'm dead serious. All them. I'm not playing with nobody that play with that.
So you think Imani is moving Oppie because he did an interview?
No. E don't move Oppie. I'm just saying that me and E spoke about it. E surprised me, but I'm saying this. Danny said that I was mentally deficient. That I'm a. I can't say that word, but he said that playing with me, like people that act like. Imagine a guy that's not black saying that people that act like this. The way he put it in his context, I don't like things like that. He play around, and I feel like he's misappropriating the culture. But I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not equipped to have that conversation. He deserves a slap to even think that you can keep playing with a like me.
But you do realize when you feed into it, you give them more content, right?
Of course, and I also give him an ass whooping.
He's not moving off his square. Somebody
No, but
jump
I'm gonna chill.
in
No, no,
here.
no. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna chill. I just like look at that. I'm talking about my past, my history. You want to come and crack jokes? It's going to backfire on him. You know, he said the little thing like, "Oh, I'm gonna call police." It's going to backfire on him badly.
See, I don't like that.
Sometimes you need to just come here and work. Like, yo, I'm here. Like, I think some of the critiques that he made when he made some of them was kind of valid, cool. He needs to keep it as that. Like, don't give anybody an opportunity to point out any flaws in your work. And the way I can point out a flaw is if you get personal with me and I try to attack you. You're gonna try to point out a flaw in me, but then it comes with a risk. Leave me alone. I want no problems with you. Leave me alone. When I see you, you know what's gonna happen. Your glasses gonna fold, and that's it.
Queenzflip threatens to run down on Danny from the stop for the fifth time. Yes, that's right. Queenzflip has had himself an interesting weekend. He ran up on YouTube channel owner Dubs, who is like a podcaster, someone who I converse with a lot, who's down with the creator community that I've been able to establish in my Twitter communities. And man, I think this is a sad day for the Joe Budden podcast, largely because Flip has taken actions that run contradictory to what the Joe Budden podcast has been able to establish for themselves. They have pivoted towards trying to look more professional. Even the topics they discuss are less messy. Like, they don't talk about street stuff, they don't talk about podcast beef as much as they used to. But now Flip is moving in a reckless manner, one in which could have big ramifications for the show. Now, this whole thing started when I started making content about Flip. I would talk about how he's having a tough time integrating, but how he was making the podcast better. And eventually, I say something that makes Flip angry. I can't even pinpoint it, but I think I said something along the lines of family members of Flip was in a JBTV space and they were cooking Flip, and I was like, imagine that family member being in Flip space and they cooking him. And Flip took that as a sign of disrespect to that family member, but that family member would reach out to Flip and say that, I didn't take it as disrespect, so why you take it as disrespect? So later on, another incident would occur where I was online and I saw a T-shirt that had two X with like flip eyes, and they was like, it looked like real Queenzflip merch. So I posted it on my subreddit. I saw it on Reddit, I believe, or Twitter, and then Flip said I was wishing death upon him. Now, for me, I saw it as that he was a public figure, and I don't know. To me, it seemed kind of innocuous. I would go on a space and say that I didn't mean it that way. So every time there's a transgression with Flip, I usually say like, "Oh, that's not what I mean." But I do think what's going on here is that Flip is just looking for some people to do something so he can kind of take the stance. And that way he can justify his actions. Right? Because if Flip comes out and says, I don't like Danny's critiques, I think they hurt in my standing within the podcast. I feel like because Ian and Joe and all of them give him energy, his actual critiques are a bit more valid than what someone else says. So what he does is he latches onto something else in order to act like it's street stuff, or in order to make it appear a certain way. You know, like, oh, this is in the streets, we would do this. In the streets, you're tangible. I can feel you. But if I've largely apologized for some of the instances in which, well, I just said I clarified. I would never mean to disrespect your family member. The person looks like a great person. Why would I do that? And then when I say things like, oh, but when Cameron said things about you, and it was like in a much more aggressive, joking fashion, where it was like, I'm a clown you was some funny dude that came around to do skits, the energy is a little bit different. I should be able to comment on that because that happened publicly. Cameron went on Instagram Live. And that was another reason why I think Flip was upset at me. Because I said you didn't hold Melissa Ford down, and the energy of my brother and my sister went out the window. So now, eventually, I think Dub, who's another content creator, sees this situation and he just observes it and reacts to it and starts to reach out to Flip for an interview, and Flip turns it into some type of SMD. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna slap you when I see you. And he even takes it to the point of going to that YouTuber's job and running down on him. Now, this is interesting because this is what Joe Budden said he didn't like from Rory when he allegedly ran to Academic's place of living and was there. I don't know how true that is, but that's what they said happened. And Joe said that, you know, his head's not in the game. So now he's presented with another situation where something worse has happened because it's been documented. There's video footage. And to further this point, there is Joe, who I think thought this was initially COE, right? He thought this was content. But now, over the course of the weekend, on Friday night, he was kind of egging it on, talking about, you know, Dubs is hiding from Flip. He ain't really looking for him. But then Saturday happens, and the altercation happens between Dub and Flip. And then things kind of go left. Then on that Sunday, you see Joe's language start to change. I don't know if maybe Joe was under the influence of something, but then Monday on Today's Spaces, he starts saying he kind of wants Flip to be off this. So this thing is kind of getting to a point where I feel like the inner circle of the pod is starting to notice, and by inner circle I mean Ian and Joe, they're starting to notice this is getting weird, and this could lead to something. Because once you start going up to people's house and start, you know, engaging that way, there's a bunch of variables you are introducing. You're introducing the police, right? If the police are observing the situation, you're introducing other aspects of it where, you know, New York City is gentrified. So when Flip was down there, I don't know if you saw, there was a lot of people watching what was happening. A lot of people were taken aback. J Street, where Flip pulled up, is a very populated area. So now that Flip is there, as much as Joe likes to say he's protected, he's not really protected, because if something would have happened, it would have been Joe Budden co-host gets into altercation with creator. And I know a lot of the fans of the Joe Budden podcast are gonna say like, oh, but you shouldn't be allowed to say certain things. In the reaction game, for the most part, you should be able to react to content in a way that isn't disrespectful. And I would argue that I don't think Dubs did anything disrespectful. I would argue I didn't do anything disrespectful. And if there was ever anything that told that line, I quickly backed off of it. I was like, all right, you thought I was talking about your family member. That wasn't something I meant. I certainly would never do that. But then Flip will never apologize for what he says about other people's family members. He's making fun of vulnerable populations. He's making fun of women. He's alluding to, you know, hurting or sexually doing things to women that are connected to people who have commented on him. He said something about someone's child, and that language is very adjacent to what got another former superstar in radio fired and blackballed from the business. And as time goes on, what you will see is that this is something that I don't think Joe wants associated with his brand. I think it was funny when it was like, oh, SMD, oh, this and that. But the moment you go to where someone is, that escalates and it makes you seem like amateur hour. Like, I'm sure if Charlemagne had somebody in his network who went to see someone, cutoff season. All right, you a bozo, you a moron, get the hell out of here. There's a certain type of professionalism associated with Charlemagne that isn't associated with Joe Budden. And it's because he keeps people like Queenzflip around who act a little bit crazy, who misinterpret things intentionally because their feelings are hurt. So they have to tie it to street code. Let's keep it real. A lot of the street dudes, not all of them, right? Because I think, let's take for instance, someone like Tax. If you diss Tax, he's going to come at you with mental warfare. He's going to clown you. He's going to make fun of you. The exchange that Tax had with Flacco, for instance, it was a lot of joking. It was a lot of, you fat, you stink, and all that stuff. But he, at the end, would say, I don't want to do nothing to you. I'm not going to pull up. And that's kind of the difference in a cerebral, more cunning, calculated person versus someone who doesn't really have control in the way they would like to present. But I wanted to do this video because I think this represents a point of no return for the Joe Budden podcast. And I think it's going to contribute to the end of Flip's time on the show. And hey, Flip is certainly doing well for himself. He's talking about how he has like a 5-story home in New Jersey with an elevator. So we'll just have to see how this ends for everybody involved. I'm sure, I have to live with the fact that Flip is out there talking about he knows where I work. And where I work is a very fine place. It's a place where a lot of people are trying to do things for themselves. Where I live is a place where we have a community of people that are trying to live. And Flip is introducing very terrible, terrible things. He's trying to bring street culture to content creation, and it's giving a black eye to the form, to the art form. And whatever happens, happens. I can't control what happens once you start going to people's house. But let me know what you think in the comments. Is this good for the Joe Budden brand? What will be the larger reaching ramifications for everyone involved? We have Queenzflip, we have Dubs, we have Joe Budden, we have me. We have to see where this goes. Hopefully cooler heads prevail, but I don't know. Once someone's acting irrational, you can't really stop anything. All right, y'all. Follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.